Hey guys, welcome back. Kourtney with Adventures of Rogers and Henderson here, and Evan and I today are going to install my new Lobo high and tight bumper and eliminate my crash bars.
Alright, so the first step to taking off the modular steel bumper is you got to remove these covers right here that give you access to the bolts that hold it to the frame horns. And there's 4 of these little plastic plugs, 2 here, 2 up here. It's easier if you have a tack puller, but I misplaced mine, so we're using channel locks. They just pull out like this, sort of like the ones that hold the radiator shroud in place. Alright, once you have the 4 plugs removed, you can just pop the caps off, just like that, and it exposes the mounting bolts for the bumper to the frame horn.
What in the heck? That thing is massive. Ugh.
Once we have the covers off, we can go ahead and remove the bolts that hold the bumper to the frame horns. It's a 15 millimeter. Now we'll want to leave these partially in just to help hold the weight. Alright, so now we're going to take the bumper off. We're going to enlist the help of our 16-year-old son to hold the one end while I loosen the bolt, and then I'll grab the other side. Alright, lift it out.
So lucky to have such strong men in my life.
Okay, so if you were just doing just the bumper, you would need to take the skid plate off. But because we are eliminating the crash bar over there, we need to access up through the side. So we went ahead and took the Lobo skid plate off. That was super easy. So now begins the first step in installing the crash bar erase and brace kit. The first step is removing the factory mounting piece. It has just a little plastic set screw that holds the nut plate to the frame horn. You can just spin these off by hand. There's one on each side of the frame horn. So this is the factory mounting piece that rests on the backside, and the bumper bolts through there. And this is going to be eliminated with a stronger piece from Lobo. Alright, so before we disconnect the body mounts that the crash bars use, we have to support this cross member just to make it easier to get them off and put the new ones on. All it's doing is going to be taking the tension off of it.
Okay, we're gonna remove the 19 millimeter bolt that holds the body to the mount.
There you go. Alright, so now is the most involved part of installing the Lobo erase and brace kit. We have to cut through this section of metal right here to get this piece off. It's not all the way around. It's actually just a 2x2 square that's welded to the frame. So we're going to go ahead and cut through that and completely eliminate this piece.
Better not mess it up.
right, so now we just need to spray the piece that we cut off, the exposed metal, just to seal it up. Go ahead and let it dry. All right, now that the paint has dried, we're going to go ahead and install the outside portion. We're sandwiching the frame horn with this mounting system. It'll hook onto the back of the stud here, the same way that the old nut plate did. So we're just going to slide it up and in. We'll get the bolt slid through just to hold it up in place. Now that we have the first bolt started, it's kind of helping hold this in place. We have to apply upward pressure because of the rubber grommet to get this hole to line up to get the second bolt going. Now we're going to take the inside portion of the bracket that sandwiches the inside piece of the frame horn. We're going to feed it up and in. All right, before we tighten those down, we're gonna go ahead and get the body mount started. We'll just get it threaded.
With some blue Loctite.
With some Loctite.
Evan, how hot is it out here?
About 100 degrees. All right, now that we have that started, we'll go ahead and tighten up the bolts. I will point out that there is an optional third hole down here that you could run a bolt through, but you'd have to drill through both ends of your frame. Lobo does include an extra bolt for that. But honestly, I don't think it's necessary. We have plenty of contact, and I'm not a fan of trying to line up holes on two sides of the frame in such a small space. You pretty much have to remove the intercooler to get access to where you need to drill through, so we're not going to bother. 2 bolts on each side is more than a little flap of metal that they had welded in place on the previous. All right, now that we got both sides tight, we got the body mount bolt tightened back up. It is time to install the nut pieces for the bumper to bolt through. And they're gonna mount similarly using that little stud that comes off the same way that the old ones did. But instead of using a little plastic nut to go onto the stud, Lobo provides new hardware for that also. And it's important to note that the piece with the little welded on washer here, that faces towards the bumper, and the bolts for the bumper will thread in through this side, through this piece. All right, once the erase and brace kit is installed, it's time to install the horns, the mounting horns that come for the Lobo bumper. It's going to bolt up right here. It's going to use the existing Ford bumper mounting bolts. So we'll go ahead and get that started. We'll leave it a little loose because what we'll do is we'll get the bumper onto these and adjust them so we can get it centered left to right and up and down. And then we also need to install the supplied inserts. They act as the mounting point for the bumper onto these horns. So just give it a nice gentle tap. All right, now we'll go ahead and lift the bumper onto the mounting horns, and it is remarkable how much lighter this one is over the stock bumper. We can pick it up easily. Go ahead and get the bolt started. All right, we got the bumper centered. We got it leveled the way that we want. We go ahead and tighten down the remaining mounting bolts, and we can go ahead and install the covers. And again, we're using the supplied hardware for this. Same thing goes for the center sections. The one down here has the Lobo off-road logo stamped into it. And then for this part, you can either get a light bracket, a mounting bracket for lights in here, which is what we're gonna do. We had the lights in this part on her bumper before, but that doesn't work for here, so we're gonna put some lights here. We just gotta get the mounting bracket. So for now, we'll use the cover. Alright, we're just going to install the last grate. This part goes up, it's notched for the plugs, and if you had the adaptive cruise control and the parking sensors, we don't have that, so we're not going to worry about it.
Alrighty guys, that's a wrap. I worked really hard getting this bumper installed today, as you can tell. It was hotter than the heck out here, but really, Evan killed it. It looks super mean, and I am excited to show it off. It's a very sleek look. The grates match perfectly to the Bronco Badlands grill that I have. I originally had a base grill, and I'm glad I swapped it out because they would not have matched otherwise. But I'm very happy with how it turned out. I actually love it. So big thanks to Evan for installing it. Make sure to like and subscribe down below, and we'll catch you on the next adventure.